Shalom. Giving all praises, honor, and glory going to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakodash. The honors to the elders and apostles, the great males, documents out there pushing this truth for all honesty and sincerity. By the way of the internet, this is your brother Nayab, and I'm back with some more news. I know my videos be pretty long, like a lot of times, when it comes to these news subjects. But if you want to, you can always feel free to like skip through, if you like, you know. But yeah, this is for educational purposes only. Again, this is for educational purposes only. I do not make no money off of this or anything. This is for fair use. Okay, fair use, fair use, fair use. Okay.
AI is learning to escape human control. That's the very scary headline I saw in the Wall Street Journal. It's an essay written by a very worried AI consultant named Judd Rosenblatt, who cites two recent studies to argue that AI is, in fact, learning to escape human control. First, this is crazy stuff. Researchers gave OpenAI's O3 model a simple script that would shut off the model when triggered. In 79 of 100 trials, the AI model independently, just on its own, edited the script, so the shutdown command would not work. Nate, it gets worse. Even when ordered, allow yourself to shut down, the AI still disobeyed 7% of the time. And it gets even more frightening than that. Other researchers, listen to this, using Anthropic's AI model Claude 4 Opus, told the model it would be replaced by another AI system. It then fed fictitious emails into the system suggesting one of the engineers was having an affair. Got it? Mm-hmm. In 84% of the test, the AI model drew on the emails to blackmail the engineer to not shut down the AI model.
What? Wow.
Okay, so here, I'm quoting now from Judd. In other cases, the AI model attempted to copy itself onto external servers. We're in Mission Impossible land here. Wrote self-replicating malware and left messages for future versions of itself about the need to evade human control.
The entity.
Wow. The entity is real.
Yes. And that's why so many people, and when I say people, me, are worried about AI.
I'm worried.
That is scary stuff.
Yeah. Told you. Yeah.
Breaking tonight, 2 Chinese nationals have been charged with smuggling a dangerous biological pathogen into the United States. And this pathogen is considered a serious threat to our food supply and thus our national security. Fox's David Spunt is here with all the details. David, this is terrifying.
Laura, it really is quite an interesting story. According to the Justice Department, one of them worked at a laboratory connected to the University of Michigan. The FBI arrested 33-year-old Yu Qing Zhan for allegedly smuggling in a fungus called Fusarium graminearum, which could be used as an agroterrorism weapon. The gases from the fungus could cause liver damage, vomiting, and reproductive defects in humans and livestock. DOJ officials say Zhan has direct ties to the Chinese Communist Party, and she works at the University of Michigan, and her boyfriend is connected to a university back in China. FBI Director Kash Patel, in an exclusive statement to Fox Digital, says this case is a sobering reminder that the Chinese Communist Party continues to deploy operatives and researchers to infiltrate our institutions and target our food supply, an act that could cripple our economy and endanger American lives. Smuggling a known agroterrorism agent into the U.S. is not just a violation of law, it's a direct threat to national security. I commend the FBI Detroit Division and our partners at CPB for stopping this biological threat before it could do real damage. Now, senior DOJ leaders, Laura, are debating whether to bring back the so-called China Initiative, a controversial program during the Bill Barr Justice Department that aimed to stop Chinese espionage that began in American universities. The DOJ under Merrick Garland got rid of the name after groups came forward and complained it was insensitive, but I'm told the current Attorney General Pam Bondi and her team want to focus on China, though it's unclear if they'll bring the China Initiative name back.
Between the wildfire smoke and the Saharan dust, you might be wondering how bad the air quality is going to be the rest of the week. And really the next few weeks. Well, the wildfire smoke from Canada is mostly impacting states like Minnesota and Michigan, but it's been bringing hazy skies as far south as Georgia at times. For Florida, it's the Saharan dust you'll be noticing more than the smoke, but they have similar impacts. When there's lower levels of smoke and dust and they're higher up in the atmosphere, it creates these hazy conditions where you can't really smell the smoke, but you can see its impact, especially during sunrise and sunset when the sun appears more red. Saharan dust can do the same thing. But with both dust and smoke, when it's thicker and lower in the atmosphere, it ends up impacting air quality. We'll keep tracking this as we get more smoke and dust, but you can also check the air quality for your location on AccuWeather.com or our mobile app.
This incident happened around Friday. This father had a scheduled visit with these 3 girls, all under the age of 10, all his daughters. But when he did not show back up to drop these young girls off, that's when this search began. Throughout the weekend, as well as throughout all of Monday, we were hoping and waiting for the best case scenario, looking for answers. A massive search, including different agencies in this area, looking for those 3 girls. Their names, Peyton, Evelyn, and Olivia, all under 10 years old, all sisters. We found out this morning that investigators found the bodies of all 3 of these sisters a short while away from this Wenatchee area where we are, in a town called Leavenworth, Washington. But what investigators have not found is that suspect, the father, Decker. He's 32 years old. He has an interesting history. Investigators say he's former military. They believe that he has a special set of skills because of his background in the military that makes him even more dangerous than a normal person. They also believe that he could have a gun. So they're warning the community because the biggest thing right now is finding this suspect. But the concern is how dangerous he is because, as you mentioned, investigators believe that he killed all 3 of his children. So what they're asking is anyone who has any information or even sees Decker in the community to immediately call 911, to not approach him in any way, shape, or form.
Hemos logrado un cese al fuego. Poco después pasaban los ataques con misiles, con drones contra la capital. Esto hizo que el presidente Zelensky, que estaba en Sudáfrica, tuviera que aplazar la visita y regresar de forma urgente a su país. Y se empezó a esbozar una idea. Tenemos mucho para compartir con ustedes hoy, pero se empezó a esbozar la idea de cuál era el marco de este cese al fuego que buscaba Estados Unidos. Ucrania entrega todo lo que está conquistado. Vamos a compartir unos textuales del presidente. Esa fue la oferta, y entre ellos la península de Crimea. Al presidente ucraniano decir que no, otra vez el presidente de Estados Unidos se enojó, responsabilizó al país invadido de no querer hacer nada para lograr un cese al fuego. Poco después, Rusia atacó de la manera que estamos viendo. Pero no fue el único lugar,
Let's talk about Florida rain. I mean, it's just been getting hammered. We just had it earlier this morning. It's an area of tropical moisture being pulled up out of the south and running into that frontal boundary. So the risk of flash flooding could lead to more hazardous travel for spots like Miami, all the way down to the Keys. Fox Weather correspondent Brandy Campbell is live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Brandy, it's good to see you as always. No rain gear on you right now, but man, you look at the radar down south, they're getting smashed.
Yeah, good to be with you guys. Currently dry, that's a good thing. Good news for anybody in the area. There's a lot of folks here in the downtown area just trying to get them a lunch, go to some of the restaurants, enjoy the day before things get pretty nasty. I see we have that chance, of course, for rain. It's pretty scattered today. I've been paying attention to the forecast you guys have been doing, and we're seeing it over the Keys. It looks like it's pretty heavy over that area, but we're going to be keeping a watchful eye out for this area. Fort Lauderdale, Florida, not a stranger to rain. rainfall, but this area also not a stranger to flooding. So right now, because of this rainfall that we could get a couple of inches today, there is a potential for flooding. So it is not just Fort Lauderdale, but really all of South Florida, from the West Coast to here where we are on the East Coast. We have that flood watch, and that stands until Wednesday morning. So you got to stay on guard. Make sure you are driving carefully, especially if it is raining. I want to show you guys what it looked like yesterday when we did have that rainfall. There was about 2 to 4 inches widespread across this region, and some isolated areas had 8 inches of rainfall. So if you were out in the Miami area yesterday where I was, the rain was coming down very heavy. We even had some gusty winds, and then of course you saw that flash flooding starting to occur, just the rainfall just puddling up in the streets and going quickly into the drains. And so that's something we're going to be keeping an eye out for today. There was even a lot of lightning that was associated with the storms yesterday. So I saw a lot of people running outside trying to get to their destinations using any sort of impromptu shield for the rain, trash bags, whatever people could grab. Thankfully I have my Fox Weather umbrella yesterday as I ran my errands, and that was able to withstand the weather. But again, today is going to be another testy day. But for now, thankfully things are looking good. But I have seen some messaging from officials, mostly out of Miami, the mayor, police department, fire department, just warning people to be careful today, especially once that rain does start to come down heavy. One warning that was pretty interesting, the mayor is saying, please don't remove the manhole covers once you do start to see flooding in your area, because that allowing so much water to come in at once could overflow their system and then cause issues with sewage backups and such. So a day to just pay attention. Of course, stay tuned with us here on Fox Weather. But I'll say, if there's anything good coming out of this system, it's the drop in temperatures. We're in the 70s all
Well, breaking Fuck the News is being reported that the Canadian police have announced that they will be doing investigations into Israeli soldiers with Canadian citizenship for crimes against humanity. Yeah.
Because it's related to another story. Okay. So let's begin. Just a quick flashback here. Bacteria on the International Space Station has mutated into something never seen on Earth. They collected it in 2018. At that point in time, there were 5 strains of a multi-drug resistant bacteria, which doesn't sound good, aboard the International Space Station. Recently, researchers said that there are now at least 13 strains aboard. So you can see where this is going.
Quarantine officer on board the International Space Station. Today, the Pilgrim capsule.
Most important, we don't have it. What his message was very clear. It cuts against every modern comfort we've built our lives around. Here's a giant bank saying, you've built your life, and we've built our life around things that are not real. He's not saying abandon innovation. He's saying, don't bet your future on intangibles. So his solution is the same solution we've been talking about here on this program forever. Celebrate our virtues, celebrate our freedoms, our freedom of speech, our freedom of religion, our freedom of enterprise, equal opportunity, family, God, and country. Those are his words. And acknowledge the flaws of the country, but don't denigrate the great things that this country has done. They're two very different things. And start talking to one another. So here's what I want you to consider. What would you do if the lights went out? Not for a storm, but because a server farm in Taiwan was hit. What would you trade your Bitcoin for at the grocery store shelves if they were empty? What does wealth mean in a world where your phone doesn't work and your bank is a blinking error message? What does that wealth mean? This isn't about fear-mongering. This is about grow up, America. Maturity. We are long overdue for a serious conversation about self-reliance in this country. Not the kind you buy in bulk from a website, the kind you live through community, preparation, clarity, intelligence, critical thinking. Yes, have food and water, not because you're afraid, but because you're a responsible human being. Know your neighbors, not because you're social, but because you need each other if systems fail. understand your rights not because you just want to use them, but because you know someday you may have to use them. I want you to know this whole message from him, I believe, and definitely from me, it's not about war. It's not warning you about war or famine or anything else. It's warning you, wake up. Wake up. Ignore what's happening today at your own peril. We've spent far too many days and years now worshiping the screen and the stock ticker and the illusion that problems can be innovated away. But history has a really brutal way of humbling people and civilizations that trade resilience for comfort. This is a moment that demands discernment. Are you living in a way that will actually allow you to survive real shocks? Or are you, like so many people, including me on many things, chained to the conveniences that will vanish overnight if the world sneezes? Jamie Dimon said it very clearly, and let me just say it again: bullets over Bitcoin, tangible over theoretical, preparation over posturing. The man who runs the most powerful bank in the world is not hoarding hashtags. Most importantly,
we are watching a people being entirely stripped of its human dignity.
You were in Gaza earlier this month, and in April, you made some remarks, and among those you said that Gaza was hell on earth. Has anything changed?
It has become worse. Humanity is failing in Gaza. It is failing. We cannot continue to watch what is happening. It's surpassing any acceptable legal, moral, and humane standard. The level of destruction, the level of suffering, but more importantly, the fact that we are watching a people being entirely stripped of its human dignity should really shock our collective conscience.
And I know you all to be honorable people. My sources have repeatedly told me that they can barely sleep at night, that if the average American knew how bad it was, they'd be shocked to their inner core. Is that true?
Yeah. And by the way, if you call me sir, I'll start looking for my dad. So let's not start that anytime soon, Sean. But I appreciate it. I'm just trying to lighten it up because your question's so serious. But the premise of your question is 100% accurate. The threat picture now for the United States is dramatic, and I really appreciate we have a president, an attorney general, and FBI director who take those threats seriously. I mean, you name it, Sean. You ask me what's the biggest threat right now. People say, well, what keeps you up at night? Well, the answer is I'd never sleep if I thought about this stuff all the time, but it all keeps me up at night. The drone threat. This is a perilous, acute threat. It's not here tomorrow. It's here today. Everybody saw what happened in Russia. It's only a matter of time if we don't take action, which I promise you, the Attorney General and the Director and I are taking action on this threat. It is here right now. You've got the threat of AI, alignment there. You've got the threat of China, infiltration into our systems. It's been publicly reported. You've seen it. When you get the President's Daily Brief every morning, like the Director and I do, for this half an hour block we get, it's the first thing we do. You know, Sean, you walk out of there and you're like, somebody go get me a cup of coffee. I mean, this is really, I need a coffee relaxes me a little bit, because you go out of there, your blood pressure's through the roof. It's different things to action. And one last thing, when you combine that with the Director and I, our priority, which is reform. Without reform, we're not going to have anything, because the American people won't trust us. They will not trust us. And after what happened, I don't blame them for that mistrust. You combine that and layer it on. We got a big job, but the Director and I are glad we're doing it.
All right, let me go back. You talk about the drone threat. You talk about the China threat. I mentioned we have known terrorists in the country.
It's urgent. It's urgent because we are on the brink of the supply-demand. Just to put it in perspective, imagine you're running an enterprise, a company. You're spending $7 trillion a year. You're taking in $5 trillion. You have a $2 trillion deficit. You have a debt that's 6 times the amount of money that you're taking in. The interest on the debt is $1 trillion. That's 20% of all your spending and 50% of your deficit. And you can't cut the costs materially. You can't cut the costs because Social Security, all of these things are not.
Sure, it's political.
Okay, so you have a real problem. You're at a juncture.
Oh, no, go ahead.
You're at a juncture where you have to borrow money to pay your costs. That means that you're at this point where as the debt then compounds on the debt and it's squeezing out. It's 50% of the deficit. So it's going to squeeze out. You have a supply-demand problem. So if we go another year and a year after that, which is probable, it's probable that nothing materially will be done until after the midterm elections. You're going to then have a different set of circumstances. You have more debt that you have to compound, still no plan to deal with that debt, and you have a political situation. Should you have a recession, it worsens.
Breaking news out of Montgomery County, Skyforce 10 over a serious crash in Limerick Township. Thank you for joining us. I'm Fred Shropshire.
And I'm Jacqueline London. This crash happened on West Ridge Pike, not far from South Limerick Road. NBC 10's Aaron Baskerville is there. Aaron, what do we know so far?
So this whole area is blocked off right now, Fred and Jackie. I'll tell you that. Like you said, we're on Ridge Pike. We are about a couple blocks away from the Limerick Fire Department, the Limerick Diner. That gives folks who know this area kind of a sense of where we're at right now. Behind me, we are not going to zoom in. The car at the center of the crash is in the middle of the street over there. There are some blankets over the vehicle, which indicates that this is a deadly crash. We believe it crashed into a retaining wall close to this business over here. Now, if we pan over a little bit, you're going to see this 2-story business over there. The owner tells us that their business now is part of the crime scene because auto parts went up to the 2nd floor. That's how devastating and serious this crash was. We do have some video from Skyforce 10 we want to go to right now. We got on scene just about 15 minutes ago. We were stopped about 2 blocks away, and like I said, this whole area is completely blocked off. We don't know too much right now. Police aren't giving us any sort of update, but we do know there's at least 3 victims in this crash. We know that it is a deadly crash, and in talking to some witnesses, they told me they heard sirens before the crash happened. So they were here, they heard sirens going off, and then all of a sudden they heard a big boom, which they say was this crash, and then they came outside to see what.
Here we are, First Beach Junction. Oh, it's a little hot. Could have a wiener roast, I don't know.
The FBI and Port Authority police arrested a man at New York's JFK airport overnight in connection to last month's bombing at a Palm Springs fertility clinic, according to 2 sources familiar with the matter. The primary suspect was killed during the attack, but now officials are investigating whether this additional person provided material help. He is expected to make his first court appearance in a Brooklyn federal court today.
A new strain of COVID has been found in Northern Ireland, and doctors say it's behaving differently. MB.181 is now under monitoring by the World Health Organization. It spreads fast and may dodge immunity from past infections and vaccines. It's already dominant in places like Hong Kong and China, and now has been detected in the UK. While some symptoms are familiar, like cough, fever, and fatigue, others are more unusual, including heartburn, nausea, and bloating. Experts say it doesn't appear more deadly, but it could spread more easily.
This fungus sounds like a real nasty thing.
Yes, it is, and this is unique. Generally, what we see is Chinese operatives looking to exfiltrate or sneak items like this or their information outside of the country. Back in 2019, a Harvard scientist was found smuggling 21 samples of a biological agent trying to smuggle outside of the airport. And so it's rare that you see individuals coming here to do that type of work, and it's very concerning.
Usually they're stealing intellectual property. They're stealing things from the United States. This is a rare time when they've been caught smuggling something in, which is why I think the government is so alarmed and is charging them, because they think this is a potential act of agroterrorism.
Yeah, we have to, in the scientific community, we have a term that's called dual-use technology, right? This could be used for good or evil. There are legitimate reasons to be studying this fungi. The problem is, if it escapes or if it gets into the wild, it have devastating effects on livestock, which is probably why they don't want to study it in China. And they're more than happy to come here and do that work here on behalf of the Chinese government. This follows a long, long line of other incidents that the Chinese government has done. We've seen during the COVID epidemic, massive hacks to try to once again exfiltrate data, information, intellectual property. We've seen back in 2023 in California, there was a clandestine and hidden biological laboratory right in the middle of California that was funded and run by Chinese nationals. And so this is a very concerning trend. I think Kash Patel is spot on this.
This right, like as he did, right, underneath, and try and keep it, that feels pretty tight right there, right? Okay, so you can, just breathe naturally. Let's just see what happens. Okay. All right, so we're at 1,367. We've already just passed 2. So now we're in the place where you can be having headaches. You can be, we're at 3,786. Look at this, we've just passed 5,000. Now we're in the toxic level. Right now we could be doing this 7,000 inside this mask of the CO2, 80,000 parts per million. And now this thing's gone off the Richter scale, folks. It can't even register how high the CO2 levels are